You have heard it 1,000 times. Happiness and security comes from within. But it never actually clicks. It just sounds like some basic advice a Zen master says to his disciples somewhere in the mountains. So you ignore it. You go on living your life, organizing it in a way where you can feel secure and safe. You realize this, don't you? This is what you do pretty much all of your life. You're organizing everything. It's just one big game to make yourself feel secure. You can look at almost anything you do, and it's most likely an attempt to avoid anxiety or fear. And so you carry on living your life like this. But no matter what you do, you still feel a sense of lack. And if you're early in the journey, you might completely disagree with me. You might say, no, that's not how I feel at all. And this is because you still have hope that sometime in the future, you're going to be happy. If only you get that money, if only you have that partner, if only you have this beautiful house. And anyone who disagrees with you or says that you won't be happy if you get those things just seems like a cynic, someone who couldn't achieve their dreams, so they put your dreams down. But this isn't cynical. This is simply the human condition. We chase happiness, everlasting happiness, in places where we cannot find it. And we don't understand the mechanism by which security, safety, contentment actually comes from. We brush it aside and we chase, feeling unfulfilled and hopeful in cycles, but never at peace, never content, always running. To really understand our way out of this endless cycle of chasing, we need to understand, why do things actually get better? So if you heard the beginning of the video, you're probably thinking, no, but I have improved, I have gotten better. I do feel more secure than I did maybe a couple years ago. And this is undoubtedly true. But when we zoom in to why you're feeling better or how you're improving, we'll realize that it has very little to do with the external circumstances, and it is completely to do with your willingness to accept and experience certain emotions that you were previously avoiding. Let me give 2 examples to make this a bit more concrete. So imagine there's a man who feels very insecure in his material wealth. He constantly feels like he's lacking and that he needs more money. And he grew up in poverty, and this sinking feeling in his chest just doesn't go away. And so he works really hard. He dedicates his time, energy, focus, willpower into amassing a fortune, making a lot of money, so he doesn't have to worry about money anymore. But often we see, it's just examples in real life as well, that this isn't the case. The person works really, really hard, but they're still constantly worried about money. They have millions even, but they still feel this sense of lack and insecurity, which leads them to having to amass even more and more and more, and just continuing the process. And the hole, though, that sinking feeling in their chest never gets filled. And why is this? It's because the person hasn't actually addressed the root cause. They feel that anxiety, and they've kind of displaced the responsibility externally and tried to fill it with money, but that wasn't the problem. The lack was coming from their inability to deal with the anxiety itself. They couldn't sit with that anxiety. So they just go venture forward into the world to try to deal with something that's actually happening internally. And no amount of external circumstances, money, wealth, whatever it may be, can cover up that feeling that you have. Nothing but facing yourself can heal that wound. And now let's give an example of the complete opposite. What does it actually look like to gain security, to face your emotions and deal with them? What does this process look like practically in day-to-day life? If you are someone who was previously socially anxious, the way you get out of that social anxiety is by putting yourself in environments where you're facing that fear. You're not trying to cover it up by staying at home and never speaking to anyone. You're going to social environments and feeling all of this anxiety and fear that you have and sitting with it, actually paying attention to it. And most importantly, seeing that you survive through it, that you can feel anxious, that you can feel afraid, and you will still survive. You will still be okay. And what this paradoxically does is anxiety is reduced and it comes up less and less and less the more and more you sit with it, to the point where eventually you don't feel socially anxious. You don't feel nervous speaking to big groups of people, introducing yourself, all these different things. This is an example of how security is formed. You notice it's nothing to do with organizing your external environment. It's completely to do with your capacity to feel those negative emotions and be completely okay with feeling them. And now this doesn't mean that your external environment doesn't matter at all. Those things still matter, and it's important to develop them in any way that you want to develop them. But we just need to understand that the source of security is not coming from those things. It's a completely different mechanism that only happens internally. Once you become someone who's not afraid of anxiety, of guilt, of shame, of fear itself, when you're not afraid of fear itself, this is when you become truly free, truly secure as a person. And no one, no external environment or no person can take that freedom away from you, because you can deal with your emotions. You can feel into them and not be afraid of them. Also, paradoxically, you feel less and less and less of those things once you're comfortable feeling those things. It's really the resistance that's keeping you stuck in this perpetual loop of these negative emotions. And again, a big fear that we have when hearing this, especially if it's the first time it's starting to click, is if I don't feel fear, if I don't feel anxious, or if I don't feel these kind of more negative emotions, am I not just going to become complacent and not do anything with my life? And this couldn't be further from the truth, but it's quite counterintuitive at the start. But acceptance is what leads to courage and radical change and transformation. You will act the most once you accept and are comfortable with those feelings of fear, anxiety, guilt, shame, and whatnot. But you're probably wondering, okay, this makes sense. It's actually starting to click for the first time. But how do I actually let go of negative emotions? How do I deal with them in the moment? Wouldn't they just last forever if I just sit with them and I don't try to change my external environment in any way? Won't they just stay here forever and I'll never be free of them? So this isn't how it works, fortunately. When you sit with your emotions, and what sitting with your emotions means is you're feeling the sensations within your body and not trying to change them in any way. And I know this can sound really scary at the start, but sitting with them and not trying to change them in any way causes the energy to basically be let out. This is how you let go of an emotion. You sit with it, you accept it, and you gain so much courage, so much self-respect, and you also alleviate the sensation of the emotion. It can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on how intense the emotion is. Just sitting with it and feeling into those sensations allows you to actually deal with the emotion and build genuine security that won't be disturbed by external things because you're doing it completely within yourself. This is the key to security. Once you can sit with any emotion that arises, nothing, and I mean nothing, can make you feel insecure because you're not afraid of the emotions themselves. You've addressed the root cause, and everything else is just interpretations of your emotions. So you have the master key that can unlock all of your emotional problems. Okay, so that's everything for this video. Hopefully this insight really helped, something I've been thinking about a lot recently. And we keep forgetting this simple thing, this seemingly simple thing, that happiness and security comes from within. And you're probably going to forget it a bunch more. And you need to basically just keep reminding yourself. And I'll be quite honest, the suffering you experienced in your life will remind you, and it will bring you back to contemplating this over and over again. Because it is really a simple but difficult to truly grasp concept. It's hard to embody it fully, but it's easy to kind of understand it conceptually. But anyways, that's about it. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully the insight was helpful. And if you did, feel free to subscribe. This channel is a lot to do with spiritual content, just breaking stuff down in a holistic way that makes sense, getting to the root of it in a practical way, and being able to build more awareness, be able to create the lives that we want to live. And also a lot to do with communication, being able to express your mind in a way that's clear, in a way that allows you to connect with others. That's about it from me. And for now, peace and love.